The city pulses like a living thing. Cars hum and hiss as they weave through the grid of avenues. Trains rumble beneath concrete as if echoing the heartbeat of the metropolis, and people scurry past each other, their eyes fixed on some distant, unseen destination. It's an ordinary Tuesday by most standards, yet something quietly simmers beneath the surface. There's more to this endless motion than just routine. It conceals a kind of forgetting, a disconnect from the present that most never realize. In the blur of modern life, have you ever caught yourself whispering in your own mind? Not in deliberate reflection, but in that involuntary stream of thought that narrates your every moment, commenting, questioning, judging. That voice doesn't rest. It critiques your every move, replays yesterday's regrets, drafts tomorrow's plans, always speaking, always interfering. You might think it's helping you stay in control, but what if it's doing the opposite? What if, in its constant buzzing, it's drowning out the one thing that truly matters, your ability to live fully, right here, right now? You see, we're trained for motion, always chasing something, a deadline, a goal, a moment in the future where we finally get to breathe. But we rarely notice that in all that chasing, our minds rarely stop. This is why anxiety has become our default setting. It lurks beneath our coffee breaks, sneaks into our evenings, and clings to our mornings like fog. Our environments, traffic, work, screens, all feed that internal voice, amplifying it until it feels inescapable. But there's something deeper than simply silencing the noise. There's a path that leads beyond it, one that doesn't just change how we think, it changes how we experience life. There's a secret doorway, hidden in plain sight, and the key to it lies in noticing that voice, the one inside your head that sounds like you, but isn't. It speaks with authority, but it's just a story engine built by habit and repetition. Imagine it like a news anchor who never signs off, commenting on your coffee choice, your text messages, the look someone gave you on the street. Always on air, always certain. But if you stop and truly listen, you'll see something startling. You are not that voice. You are the one hearing it. Let that sink in. You're not the anger in traffic, nor the worry before a meeting. You're not the memory replaying last night's conversation. You're the observer of all of it, the silent presence behind the screen of thought. That recognition, small as it seems, is a revolution. Because once you start seeing your thoughts instead of being them, a gap forms. And in that gap, a different kind of awareness arises. A presence that has no name, no judgment, no agenda, just being. And yet, how many of us truly ask, "Who am I?" when I'm not thinking? It's a question that cracks the mask we wear. We think we are the sum of our achievements, our fears, our preferences. But that's only the outermost layer, the character we've been rehearsing for so long that we forgot it's not the real us. The real us, the one that quietly observes without needing to control, is always there, waiting behind the curtain. Think about it. When you're not chasing thoughts or clinging to identities, what remains? Silence, but not emptiness. A full, vibrant presence that just is, like the quiet after a heavy snowfall, where the world seems wrapped in clarity. That presence doesn't need to prove anything, doesn't argue, doesn't fear. It just sees. We can catch glimpses of it in unexpected places, watching the colors of the sky shift as the sun sets, holding a warm drink in your hands and noticing the weight of the cup, the aroma, the moment. These aren't trivial. They're moments when the voice steps back and the real you steps forward. The goal isn't to stop thinking. That's impossible. The mind was made to think. But what if the goal is simply to stop identifying with every single thought that pops up? What if we could just let thoughts pass like clouds, while we remain grounded like the sky beneath them? This isn't philosophy, it's practice, it's presence, and the benefits are far from abstract. When you start stepping into that space between thoughts, life begins to feel different, lighter, more spacious. Even when nothing changes on the outside, something shifts within. Stress softens, decisions feel clearer, creativity returns, peace visits, and science backs this up. Silent moments, practiced with intention, calm the nervous system. They increase focus. They give the brain a chance to heal, to recharge. But more than that, they bring you back to yourself. Because in the silence, you can finally hear the truth. One powerful tool for this return is gratitude. It might sound simple, too simple, but its effects are profound. Gratitude rewires the mind. It shifts your attention from lack to abundance, from complaint to contentment. When you look for reasons to be grateful, even small ones, you're practicing presence. You're telling your mind, this moment matters. Right now is enough. The best part? You don't need a perfect life to feel grateful. Just awareness, a bird outside your window, the way sunlight warms your skin, a smile from a stranger. When you start noticing these things, your mind slowly changes its rhythm. It stops racing toward what's missing and starts noticing what's already here. And the more you practice this, the more natural it becomes. Gratitude stops being something you write in a journal and starts being how you see the world. Problems still arise. Deadlines still loom. But your inner posture changes. You face them with a sense of space, not suffocation. Across time, across cultures, this same wisdom echoes. The mystics and sages of every tradition weren't trying to build empires of belief. They were pointing inward, showing us what we had forgotten. That peace isn't found by changing the world outside. It's discovered by changing how we relate to the world within. Rumi spoke of a silence so deep, it becomes a doorway to the soul. Lao Tzu spoke of flowing with the Tao, the effortless current of life. Even Jesus, when stripped of dogma, taught about a kingdom not of this world, but within. Different words, same truth. And here's what's wild. You don't have to leave your job, your responsibilities, or your relationships to walk this path. You can live a modern, active life and still find silence, still find presence, still live from your essence. Athletes, artists, entrepreneurs, they're finding that this inner stillness isn't a luxury, it's a superpower. So imagine for a moment, what would change if you brought even a little of this presence into your day? What if, just once today, you chose to listen rather than react, to breathe rather than brace, to be rather than become? You don't have to overhaul your life. You just have to return, to pause, to listen. And in that listening, you'll find what you've been looking for all along. Not outside, not in some future moment, but right here, in the quiet hum of your own being. Sometimes it only takes one breath, just a single conscious breath, to remember who you are. Not the version of you that's always performing, analyzing, striving, but the one beneath all that, the one who simply observes. That breath becomes a doorway, a bridge that leads from the noise of the mind to the sanctuary of the now. And once you cross it, something inside you begins to soften. The tension in your shoulders, the tightness in your chest, the mental checklist that never seems to end. It all loosens its grip. But the mind resists. It always does. It's been trained to fill the silence, to label, to categorize, to solve. And when that silence arrives, it panics a little, because the silence threatens everything the mind has built, the identities, the roles, the fears. And yet, this very resistance is a signal that you're close to something real, something the ego can't manipulate, something it can't own. The ego doesn't give up easily. It creeps in through doubt, whispers like, "You're wasting time," or "You're not doing this right." It tries to distract you with urgency, with imagined crises, with endless what-ifs. It wants you chasing, because as long as you're chasing, you're not here. And being here, truly here, is the only thing that threatens the ego's illusion of control. This is why stillness is powerful. It's not weakness. It's not laziness. It's an act of rebellion against a culture that worships hustle and noise. In stillness, you reclaim your mind. You stop being a passenger in the wild ride of thought and begin steering your awareness with intention. It doesn't matter if thoughts keep coming. That's their nature. What matters is that you're watching. You're no longer merged with the storm. You've found the eye. And that eye, the quiet center, it's where you meet your true self. Not the one shaped by experiences or fears or even successes, but the one who remains when everything else falls away. It has no name, no story, and yet it's more real than anything the mind can describe. It's the part of you that feels deeply but doesn't drown in emotion, the one who sees clearly but doesn't rush to judge, the one who knows without needing to explain. Many people think presence is a state you reach after years of practice, but it's much simpler than that. Presence is always available. It's not about adding anything. It's about subtracting what blocks the view, like clouds parting to reveal a sky that's been there all along. You don't need to become someone new to be present. You just need to stop trying to be someone else. Imagine how your day would feel if you lived from that place. Not all the time, just moments. What if, while drinking your morning coffee, you truly tasted it, felt the warmth, noticed the texture of the mug in your hands? What if, during a conversation, you listened without rehearsing your response in your head? What if, while walking, you noticed the rhythm of your steps, the breeze against your skin, the colors around you? These tiny shifts aren't meaningless. They are life. Because life doesn't happen in the mind. It happens in the body, in the senses, in the moment. And when you show up for it, even briefly, it shows up for you. You feel more connected, less anxious, more alive. Of course, the world will try to pull you back into its frenzy. Your phone will buzz. Deadlines will approach. People will demand your attention. But each time you notice that tug, you have a choice. You can drift unconsciously into reaction, or you can pause, breathe, and return. Return to the only place life is actually happening, right now. And this returning doesn't have to be dramatic. Sometimes it's as simple as feeling your feet on the ground, or taking a single deliberate breath before answering a message, or putting your hand on your heart and just noticing it beat. These are not small things. They're acts of remembering. They're moments when you say to yourself, "I am here. I am enough. This is enough." The beauty is, you don't need perfect circumstances to do this. You don't need a quiet mountain or a meditation retreat. You can find presence in a crowded train, in a meeting, in the middle of a messy kitchen. Because presence isn't about the environment, it's about attention. And where your attention goes, your life follows. And as you practice this, even clumsily at first, you'll start to see subtle changes. Conversations feel richer, food tastes better, time feels slower, but in the best way. And when challenges come, as they always do, you meet them with more steadiness. Not because you're ignoring them, but because you're rooted, grounded. You know that even in difficulty, there's a space inside you that remains untouched. And from that space, decisions become clearer, reactions soften, compassion grows, not just for others, but for yourself. Because you begin to see that the critical voice, the pressure, the self-doubt, they were never yours to begin with. They were patterns, learned responses, and like any pattern, they can be unlearned. This is why stillness is not escape, it's engagement. It's how you show up for life, not just as a character in the story, but as the author. Not as the reaction, but as the awareness behind it. And the more you live from this place, the more your life begins to reflect it, not just in how you feel, but in how you love, how you work, how you create. Because presence is magnetic. It draws clarity. It attracts peace. It awakens something in others too. Have you ever been around someone who feels calm, deeply present? They don't have to say much. You just feel safe with them. That's the power of presence. It radiates. And when it radiates from you, your whole life starts to shift. You become a lighthouse in a world that's lost in fog. You become a mirror in which others can see their own presence. Not by teaching, not by preaching, but simply by being. And that's more than enough. It's how real change begins. Not from the outside in, but from the inside out. There's a quiet courage in choosing presence, in stepping off the treadmill of constant doing and into the stillness of being. At first, it might feel unnatural, even uncomfortable. We're so used to defining ourselves by motion, by schedules, responsibilities, ambitions, that stillness feels like a threat. But beneath that discomfort is an opening, a chance to rediscover a part of ourselves we've ignored for far too long. Because the truth is, the person we become when we're always reacting, always chasing, isn't who we really are. That person is tired. That person is overwhelmed. That person is surviving. But the one who pauses, the one who breathes, who listens deeply, that version of you, that's the real one. Not built on performance or achievement or reputation, but on presence. And presence can't be faked. It has a weight, a warmth, an unmistakable quality that others feel, even if they can't describe it. Have you ever looked into the eyes of someone who's fully present with you? No judgment, no agenda, just there. There's something sacred about that connection. It feels rare because it is. Most people are elsewhere, trapped in their thoughts, half listening, half living. But when someone is truly with you, it's unforgettable. And you have that same ability to give someone the gift of presence, to give it to yourself. But to do that, you must first clear the space. Not the space around you, but within. The clutter of unexamined thoughts, the constant striving for more, the storylines that loop without end. That's the real noise. And clearing it doesn't mean pushing it away. It means seeing it clearly, watching your thoughts come and go like waves, letting them rise, crest, and fall without getting pulled under. And in that watching, you start to notice patterns. Maybe you see how quickly your mind jumps to judgment, or how often it spins worst-case scenarios. Maybe you notice the voices that aren't even yours, echoes from childhood, from culture, from fear. These voices shape your reactions, your choices, your very sense of who you are. But when you see them for what they are, they lose their power. You don't have to argue with them. You just don't have to believe them. One of the most liberating realizations is that thoughts are not facts. Just because a voice in your head says you're failing doesn't mean it's true. Just because your mind replays a mistake doesn't mean it defines you. That space, the space between thought and belief, is everything. It's where freedom lives. And the more you live in that space, the more you reclaim your energy. The exhaustion so many people feel isn't just from doing too much. It's from thinking too much, from believing too much, from carrying every thought as if it were a stone in a backpack. When you start to let those thoughts pass, when you carry only what's real, you feel lighter, more alive, and strangely, more yourself. This is the paradox of presence. You find yourself by letting go of who you thought you were. You come home by taking off the masks you've worn for years. And beneath all of it, you find something unexpected. Not emptiness, but depth. Not silence, but music. The kind of music that doesn't need to be heard to be felt. In this state, you begin to experience life differently. Ordinary things shimmer with significance. A walk through the park isn't just a way to get from one place to another. It becomes a moment to feel the air, to notice the trees, to be with yourself. Conversations become deeper, not because you say more, but because you're actually listening. You're not waiting for your turn to talk. You're not distracted. You're here. And when challenges arise, as they always do, you don't collapse into chaos. You respond instead of react. You approach problems with a grounded clarity. Even in pain, you find space. Not because you're detached or numb, but because you're rooted, like a tree in a storm, bending but not breaking. People might start to notice something different about you. They won't be able to name it exactly. They'll just feel more calm around you, more seen. That's the ripple effect of presence. You begin to change the atmosphere, not by force, but by frequency. And the people around you begin to feel permission to be more themselves too. None of this requires perfection. You'll still get distracted. You'll still lose your center. But now, you'll know the way back. And that makes all the difference. You'll return more quickly. You'll forgive yourself more easily. You'll start to trust that this quiet place within you isn't fragile. It's your anchor. And over time, something even deeper unfolds. Presence starts to feel like love. Not romantic love, but a kind of unconditional regard for life itself, for the messy, beautiful, difficult, precious experience of being alive. You start to see that every moment, no matter how small, is an invitation. An invitation to open, to feel, to connect. You might even notice a softening toward yourself. The inner critic that once shouted now speaks more softly. Or maybe it doesn't speak at all, because you no longer give it the mic. You've realized you don't have to earn your worth. You don't have to prove your value. Your being is enough. Just being. That truth is easy to forget in a world obsessed with doing, with proving, performing, polishing every edge. But when you return to presence, you remember. You remember that your essence was never in question. It's always been whole, always been worthy. And now, finally, you're listening. When this realization roots itself in your bones, life changes. Not necessarily on the outside. Your job may stay the same. Your responsibilities might not disappear. But how you carry them shifts. You carry them with grace, with space, with an awareness that runs deeper than stress, deeper than identity. An awareness that says, I'm here. I'm enough. This is enough. There's a moment, subtle and quiet, when you stop chasing life and begin allowing it. A shift where doing gives way to being. And suddenly, things begin to unfold. Not because you pushed harder, but because you stopped resisting. You're no longer swimming against the current. You're floating, not in surrender, but in trust. Trust in yourself, in the intelligence of the present, in the silent rhythm that's been guiding you all along. It's in this stillness that something ancient awakens. Not a new idea, but a memory. A remembering of who you've always been, beneath the layers of time, of conditioning, of noise. This remembering is not dramatic. It doesn't scream or demand attention. It hums quietly beneath your skin, like a song you knew before you were born. And once you hear it, you can't unhear it. You realize this is what you were seeking all along, even when you didn't know what to call it. You begin to live with a different kind of attention, not hypervigilant or rigid, but open, receptive, curious. You stop needing everything to make sense because you're no longer afraid of not knowing. You start meeting life as it is, not as you think it should be. And in that space, life starts to reveal itself in ways it never could before. It's not always easy. There are days when the voice in your head gets louder again, when the weight of the world feels heavier. But now you have something more powerful than certainty. You have awareness. You have the ability to pause, to breathe, to come back to the truth that doesn't change. You are not the storm. You are the sky that holds it. You are not the pain. You are the space in which pain appears and disappears. And you are not lost. You're just remembering the way home. That home isn't found in success, in approval, or in finally fixing everything that feels broken. It's found in this moment, in the quiet acceptance of what is, in the willingness to feel fully, to be fully, even when it's uncomfortable. Because true peace isn't the absence of difficulty, it's the presence of wholeness in the midst of it. You start to value things differently. A moment of eye contact, a deep breath in the sunlight, a quiet morning without your phone. You start to measure your day not by productivity, but by presence. Not by how much you got done, but by how deeply you connected. And in doing so, you touch a richness that no success could ever replace. People around you may not understand what's changed. They might say you seem different, calmer, lighter, more at peace. But it's not that life got easier. It's that you stopped resisting it. You started flowing with it. And now you're not just existing, you're alive, truly alive. This is the gift of presence. It doesn't add anything new to your life. It strips away what's not real. It reveals what's always been there. And once you've tasted it, even for a moment, it calls you back again and again. Back to yourself, back to now, back to life. So if there's a whisper in you, a pull towards something softer, slower, deeper, don't ignore it. Follow it. Nurture it. Because it's not asking you to escape your life. It's asking you to show up for it. Fully, boldly, gently. And if you do, you may just discover that everything you were looking for has been within you all along. That voice you hear when everything else gets quiet, that's you, the real you. And it's been waiting patiently through all the noise and chaos, just for this moment, to be heard, to be felt, to be free. So listen and live.